Can you hear us?
Yes.
Madison, can you confirm that you can hear us?
Yes.
You're good.
Okay, cool.
You're good now. So now there's your speaker.
Wonderful. And if any of them comment, because I'll be asking some questions, would you mind?
Yeah,
Okay.
Madison is running it from her side.
Okay.
And she'll tell me, hey, there's a question in the chat, and I'll plug it in.
Excellent. Thank you. And also, will you wave at me if I go too long? Because I can do that. Okay. Okay, we got 3 students. Is there? All right. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Do we want to go ahead and start? Oh, we have 11 students online. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see our ducks, but we do have some ducks here. And so those of you in Fort Worth, if you answer and you win a duck, we'll get the ducks to you. All right. So I'm kind of excited. I'm sad that there's only 3 people here live, but you know what? These are the top students right here, and those of you online, because y'all are entering spring break without getting spring broke. So I'm proud of you. You're the ones. You're the top students. So today, and I thank y'all Career Services for letting us do this. I'm excited about a chance to get to present. And this is the first in one of our series that we're creating, which is Making Sense of, our Making Sense of series. And this is making sense of your finances and life after college. So of the students that are watching, how many of you are graduating this semester? Anybody here? All right. How about online? I can't see. Nothing? Um, well, what we're about to give you, the information I'm about to give you helps the ones that are about to start and graduate soon, but also those of you, what year are you?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior.
I'm a freshman.
Freshman. Oh my gosh, right here, future CEO right here. Front row, sitting in the front row. Well, this will help you get there. If I can get it to. There. All right, if you will, those of you online, and if y'all would grab your phone and do a little pre-assessment for us. And while you're doing it, shouldn't take long. While you're doing that, I want you to be thinking about some of the things that you'll need to know once you get out of college. Does anybody in here think they know everything and they're ready to go now that they have the degree? No? So? Spoiler alert, none of us did either. And I graduated from this very College of Business. The smell is still the same, FYI. So think about this too, and if you will, if you're online, if y'all will write this down or give me a message, send me a message. What is your biggest fear about life after graduation? One of my 3 here, y'all holler out. What's your biggest fear? Not getting a job. Definitely. Adulting, period. I know, I'm still scared of that. Oh, cool. Finding a job, that's probably the top one. Well, we're going to take away something during this presentation that will help you a lot. Yes, you're going to find a job. You will, because you have a Tarleton degree once you graduate from here, and that you're going to get a job because it did well by me 30 years ago when I graduated here. It'll do well by you too. And let's pretend, for those of you freshmen and everyone, you're about to graduate. Now what? And you know what your biggest fear is? I want getting a job. Why do you want a job? What's it for? To make some money, right? You got to pay for all the things you want. Well, while you're here, I'm glad that you are, because you're investing the 2 most valuable resources you already have, That's your time and your energy in building that future from your Tarleton degree. And also, right now, your education is your biggest asset. That's something you're going to be able to take to the table no matter where you go, no matter what you do. Your education is your biggest asset. At TexanSmart, which some of you may not know, we're here. We're actually moving to the College of Business, but right now we're service for everybody at Tarleton, whether you're in Fort Worth, you're in Waco, you're at Rellis, you're here in Stephenville, and we help you with those financial tasks that you have to learn to do to set you up for a good future. And I want to start with this idea of a wealth mindset, because especially when you leave school, when you graduate from college, your mind is on money. It's a money mindset because it's survival mode, right? I need to get a job. I need to be able to pay my bills. I hopefully get to have a little fun in the meantime. I'm moving out on my own, lots more responsibility, right? But sometimes we don't think about money in the right way. And building wealth is a very different idea. It's a very different mindset than just money. So it doesn't mean, being wealthy does not mean that you're rich. That's not the same thing. It doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't have a lot to do with how many zeros are in your bank account. What it has to do with is being in control of your finances so that the money is working for you. You're not just working for the money. And that's a mindset shift. Many of us think, I just need to make the money. But you can have millions of dollars and still be broke at the end of the month even, because you're not thinking with the wealth mindset. So what it isn't a high bank balance. It isn't saying I'm bad with money or I'm good with money. It isn't saying I'm never having fun again. And we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of these as we go through. And it isn't about reacting to your financial events. This is something when you have the money mindset, you're reacting. I've got to pay this bill today, or they're going to evict me. I've got to pay my rent, or I'm going to get kicked out. I've got to do this. Oh, I really need to buy that from Amazon. That's a money mindset. That's not a wealth mindset. What wealth mindset is the absence of money-induced panic. And why is there an absence? It's because you know where you stand. You know what you have. You are in control. You're making that money work for you. You're not just thinking, how am I going to make more money? And you actually enjoy it more because you know that when you make that choice to spend it on something fun, Park and McCollum concert that's coming up in a couple months that I definitely want to get to go to. If you want to spend it on that, you know that I've got the money for it. And it's not going to break into the things that I have to pay for because everything else is taken care of. So you can actually enjoy it more than having it hang over your head. So, Sandra, what can I do now? What can I do? Whether I'm a freshman, whether I'm a senior, what can I do now so that I can switch to that money mindset and I can start out with that mindset? First of all, you got to create a budget and track your expenses. TexanSmart can help you with that. Really, anyone in the College of Business can help you with that, but you got to do that. And the earlier you start with your budget, the better off you will be. You also need to start building your emergency fund. Very important thing to do is build that emergency fund. And we'll go into more depth on these, but you need to do that. You need to build your credit. And you also need to plan for those future expenses that you already know you will have. So if you have a student loan, let's say, you need to start planning for that and know that that's coming up. So those are the things that right now you can start doing no matter what grade or what year you are in college. A little bit about budgeting and tracking expenses. Most people, this is a thing they dread the most because it forces you to hold yourself accountable and confront some of the things you might be spending your money on. But it actually, instead of locking you in a cage, because that's what people think it does, it locks you in, it actually makes you much more freer with what you have because you know what you have. So making that budget, and we'll talk a little bit, a suggestion for how to do that on the next slide. But one thing is budgeting apps, and I want to talk about this just briefly. There's lots of free budgeting apps. Rocket Finance, there's another one, Mint. used to be one, but I don't know if it's still in existence. But really and truly, your banks, you have a banking app that goes along with the money that you put on your debit card. Those banking apps are really great resources, especially for tracking your expenses. They are absolutely the best, and sometimes will shock you because they'll keep a running total of what you spend on certain things. So if you go to Starbucks, and I don't want to pick on Starbucks, but if you go to Starbucks, your bank account will keep a running total about how much you spent per month and even per year. And that's kind of shocking, especially to college students, how much they spend just on one thing, just on coffee. So tracking your spending along with that, use those banking apps, but there's also spreadsheets. We have some at TexanSmart. There's so many that you can just search, and they're free. So it's a great way to get started. But tracking your spending, one caveat for everybody to know is be honest with yourself. So when we have students come in for peer coaching and they want to set up a budget, they struggle with being honest with themselves too on what they're actually spending their money. And the only way to move forward is to be honest. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Don't let your pride get in the way thinking, well, I don't want anyone else to know that I spend $50 a week on Sonic drinks or whatever the case may be. Be honest with yourself because it's the only way you can move forward, all right? We've seen lots of students get held back by the notion that, well, I don't have it as bad as some, even though I'm $30,000 in debt already, I don't have it as bad as some. Well, you have it as bad as you. You need to work and move forward, so you got to be able to be honest with yourself and admit it. And of course, always, you want to prioritize your needs over wants. So here's our suggestion for budgeting like a pro. It's called the 50-30-20 rule. 50% needs to go to your needs, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes to your savings. So if you had $1,000, obviously 50% for your needs would be $500. Making it in Stephenville, that probably wouldn't cover your rent, but this is just the math for, because I can do math with $1,000 way easier. So 50%, 30%, this is the one that's interesting to me because most students feel like if I budget for my wants only, that means I'm going to make sacrifices and I won't have any fun. But just out of $1,000, that's $300. That's a good chunk of money on things that you want versus things that you need, right? You may not be there yet. You may have spent a whole lot on wants and not a lot on your needs. That may be shifted around, but the goal is to work towards getting this ratio, 50-30-20, and set realistic monthly spending rules and stick to it. So, but that's the goal. We want to try to get to the 50-30-20. And I'm going to play a little game. So this is where we can maybe win our ducks, okay? So actually, that's needs versus wants. If you think that, I'm going to call out some things, whether or not they're a need or a want, I want you to tell me. Put a thumbs up if it's a need. Put a thumb to the side if it's a want. And those of you online, you can do thumbs up, right? Can they do thumbs down? Do an emoji. Do a smiling if it's a need and do a sad one, I guess, if it's a want. It's not sad, though, so it's not really sad. Okay, here's the first one. Car insurance. Everybody here say need? I would say it's a need. Okay, yeah. You want to come to? There. Sorry, little duck. All right, what about high-speed internet? Want or need? Excellent. Yes, it does. Look, you get it. It depends on your job, right? If you're working from home, then high-speed internet is a need, right? If you're just gaming because that's the way you relax, maybe not a need, might be a need. It really depends. What about a new work suit, like an outfit for work? Is that a need or a want? We're kind of iffy. Everybody's like, I don't know, one or the other. Okay. What about eating out because you're too tired to work? That's a want. It's a want I always want. What about your student loan payment? That's an easy one, right? Okay. Okay. All right. So, and really, there's no wrong answer to any of those. They're actually all right because it does depend on what you're doing in life and what you value, right? So sometimes it's a gray area. And that's why finance events and building a budget is very personal to you. And it really means you have to be honest because some of those things, they might be a want, but they might be a need. So it's gray area for everybody, and every answer is right depending on what you need. All right, next thing. Protecting your future means building an emergency fund for that future when you've got your plan, you've got everything, you got your budget, you know what you have, you got your first paycheck maybe, but life happens, right? Everything happens. Never fails. Car breaks down. Need new tires. Had to go to the emergency room for something, and now you had the flu, you had COVID, whatever the case may be. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, which most postgrads do, in your 20s, most of us live paycheck to paycheck, you're going to need an emergency fund for those surprise expenses. As you add on, as you get married, as you build a family, those surprise expenses, they never get any less. So having an emergency fund is always good, and it's good to start now. I recommend setting aside $5 to $10 a week, which isn't much. That's one Starbucks drink, or maybe 15. It's one Starbucks drink. It's not much. You set it aside, you put it in savings. Don't just leave it in your checking account and think that I'm not going to touch that money. Put it in savings. Future you will be grateful because future you will see when it hits 100 plus, it starts adding up. It's like its own reward. You start to see that, okay, I'm going to be set. Now, freshmen, you start doing that now, you're going to have a really good emergency fund by the time you graduate. It's money that you don't touch unless obviously there's emergency, but we're looking for post-grad. You want to try to set up 3 to 6 months of living expenses. Don't start out with that, obviously. Don't feel like you have to have $10,000 in there just from the start, but start building. And if you automate it, you won't feel it. You won't miss that Starbucks drink, and future you will see it in the end. So you want to start now building that emergency fund along with everything else. Another question we get a lot at TexanSmart is all about credit. What is it? What do I do with it? How do I get it? Why do I need it, right? Getting credit, think of it as you're buying reputation. And what you're doing, the credit score, is kind of like your GPA for life. That's what it is. It's a GPA score, all right? And the higher the better, just like your GPA, right? None of us want a really low one. But a lot of times, especially post-grad and even in school, in college, we don't realize that we can use credit to our advantage or it can be to our downfall. Credit card companies, which one do you think they are betting on? They're betting on our downfall because they make money if we charge up that credit card on stupid things. And I say that because that's what I did. I had to learn the hard way. Learn from my wisdom so you don't have to learn the hard way. But I charged up a credit card $1,000 when I was in college for I can't even tell you what I bought. Have no idea now. It certainly wasn't anything worthwhile. And I thought good planning and good budgeting was paying that minimum balance. Because I could afford the minimum balance, I couldn't afford, obviously, $1,000. So I wasted it, spent it on stupid stuff. Then, when I realized after I got older that I was just paying that minimum balance, and that $1,000 turned into $7,000 that I was paying that credit card company. So they made $6,000 off of me, and I don't even know what I spent the first $1,000 on. Okay, so credit can be to your downfall. That's what they want. But if you're thinking with the wealth mindset, You're going to turn this into a tool to make your life better and build that reputation. So probably I'm one of the first few people that are going to tell you to get a credit card, because most people say don't get a credit card when you're young, but there's a caveat to that too. If you get a credit card, it's not about having it to charge for stupid things like I did, okay? You get a credit card for a very specific reason, and the gold standard for having that credit card, because it'll have a high interest rate, is to pay the balance in full every single month. What that does, first of all, the credit card gets your name on the books. It gets you started with your credit score. Paying it every month gives you points. It gives you points on that score. And paying it off also gives you points on that score. And plus, you're winning the game. If you look at it like a basketball game, you're keeping everything over on your side of the court and you're scoring those baskets. Credit company's sitting over here just waiting. And if you're paying it off, they're not making any points off of you. You're making the points off of them. So you're using them to your advantage. So you want to try to pay it off. Now, if life happens, it is nice to have that credit card in case there's an emergency that you can't do it all at once. But the recommendation is that you only spend 30% of your available credit. So if you got that thousand, see what I should have done. If I had that $1,000 credit card now, I would never want to spend over the 300 if I knew I couldn't pay it back. All right. But what I do, and this is what I told my own children, I've got 3, is charge things that you know that you've budgeted, charge those needs to that credit card that you know you will pay every month. So my internet, I don't know, some people can do their rent, but maybe my phone payment. The things that I know I have to pay off, I have to pay in full every month. It's part of my budget. I'm going to put it on that credit card and pay the credit card off. Use the credit card to pay for my phone and then pay it off at the end of the month. So really, it's a game. It's a number. I'm just using that credit card to build up my score. I'm not wasting it on the stupid stuff. As long as you hold that gold standard and you keep that in mind, hey, this isn't for going out. This isn't for going to Parker McCollum and buying the tickets. This is just for paying those needs, and then I pay it off every month. It's a great, great way to build your credit without having to worry about, like I did, paying that credit card company $6,000 extra for $1,000. So it's important to start building it now so that you are able to do things like buy your own car and buy a house someday. And even some apartments require you to have good credit when you apply to go in there. Next thing on after you built your credit, you started on that, you finally get your degree, you graduate from Tarleton, you get a job, because you will, like I said, because you got your degree from Tarleton, you will get a job. Now what do? I've done all this budget planning, I've started my emergency fund, I've done those great things, but now what's going to happen once I get that job? These are some things and pitfalls that a lot of post-grads suffer from and go through. And as a matter of fact, every one of the adults in the room can probably attest those first few years, we've all experienced this. So we want to give you this wisdom before you have to go through it, and start with that wealth mindset. So first of all, you have a plan, just like we said before, and this goes in with the wealth mindset. You make a budget. Once you know what your new paycheck's going to be, go ahead and make your budget. You're going to live within your means. And what I mean by that is, just because you have a higher paycheck does not mean you spend more. That's a pitfall. That's one of the toughest ones. That's the one that causes more people to go into debt and stress than anything else, because they're operating with the money mindset, not the wealth mindset. And of course, prioritizing your spending. And that means things like, I got my new job and I got an apartment, and I really think I deserve a brand new car because I've got a great paycheck coming in. That's not something you need, right? That's something you want. it could wait. Let's wait and see what other expenses we have before we decide to go out, buy a brand new car or furniture for the entire apartment that we don't need yet. So, because we need to look for the step that I have here on the right-hand side of the screen, which are the hidden costs. These are the things that I wasn't ready for. I thought I was, but these are the things that I wasn't ready for. So one of those is work clothes. If you're in the business world, obviously you're going to need some business attire, right? If you're a teacher, you're going into education, you're going to need teacher clothes. Those are different from the hoodies and the sweatshirts and everything you get to wear when you go to class at Tarleton. Those are different. And so in order to prepare for that, you need to be aware that you will have that. You might already start building that wardrobe if you know kind of the career way, the goals that you're going for with your career, but know that that expense is going to happen. You may not get to wear tennis shoes. You may have to have dress shoes. There may be a lot of that involved. You're also going to be paying health insurance. That'll be coming out of your check. You may not be used to that right now, but once you get that check, you will have some things that will come out of that. Of course, as always, you may have those school loans to pay for. And also, your apartment. There's deposits. There's utilities. There's the Wi-Fi. There's the setup. There's the parking if you have to pay for parking. There's lots of things that many of you might have already experienced working, trying to live here in Stephenville or in Fort Worth or wherever you may be. But if you get a job in Houston, or you get a job in Dallas, or you get a job in California, wherever the case may be, there's going to be some hidden costs in there, and setting up your life is going to take some of that money, and you need to be ready for it. So that's why you don't run out and get a new car. This right here, I think, is one of those downfalls that a lot of our students encounter, and I did too. As I said before, live within your means. The wealth mindset means that just because your income increases, your spending does not. So here's some of the things that students do. I did it too. I'm guilty of it. But they upgrade their apartment. If you're living with roommates, now you've got your paycheck. I want to move over and get my own little one bedroom. You get a new car. You decide it's time to start dining out all the time. Those are all kind of lifestyle inflation things that take away, and your money starts disappearing a lot quicker than you think. And it's easy to kind of get away from that budget. So lifestyle inflation is definitely one of the number one people with high salaries end up being broke, is this lifestyle inflation, because they're operating with that money mindset, not with the wealth mindset. Okay, we got a little game. Price is Right game. And I do have some of these. Look at these two apartments. Lovely, wonderful. Forget the furniture, because if you're renting an apartment, probably not going to have any of that in it. So picture those apartments. Option A, a standard one bedroom in Austin, Texas, I don't know, anywhere. And it is $1,200 a month. All right? It's got everything you need. Got the kitchen, got the living room, bedroom, bathroom, all is there. Then you got option B, luxury loft unit. That would be downtown. And I would imagine this is a very conservative estimate. This is probably a lot more. It would even be a lot more in Stephenville. So, but let's work with these numbers. So option B, our luxury loft, it's probably downtown. It's probably got a swimming pool up on the rooftop. Like, it's fancy, right? You got your new job. And based on your paycheck, you can afford either one of those, okay? Let's pretend. Which one should you choose just based on the amount that they are, $1,200 or $1,700? What do we think? A? How many of you would want to choose B? I'd probably want to. No, but A. Because if you think about it, okay, let's just think about this. Before we go on how much it's actually going to cost to get into that apartment, $1,200 a month versus $1,700 a month for a year. How much money is on the table if you're only spending $1,200 a month versus the $1,700? Yes, our finance PhD back there, $6,000. $6,000 in 1 year that you would save by choosing a perfectly fine one-bedroom apartment that's maybe in the suburbs or a little bit further out, not in the downtown area, $6,000 that you could put towards savings. You could put towards investing. You could put towards paying down your student loans or whatever the case may be, just by making that change. But you also have to think about the values that how they align with those values. So for one, option A may be closer to work, believe it or not, than option B. And that saves you on gas, that saves you on stress if you're on the highway and there's lots of traffic there to and back. So, or option B, maybe you like steps from where you work. Something to think about. All right, it may be worth the extra $6,000 a year to be not have to drive and just walk to work. So those are some options to think about. But now let's look at when I talked about those hidden costs. Let's talk about option B. And let's say we decide, Sandra, I deserve the $1,700 a month apartment and I want to move into that one. How much money do you think it's going to take to get the key to unlock that door? How much will it cost? What do y'all think?
3,000.
3,000? 3,400. And a pet deposit? Absolutely.
And you gotta furnish it.
I like that y'all thought all this because I'm about to go to the next slide and y'all are doing good. So let's see how much it is. And this isn't even everything, but let's see how much it is. And whoever's good at math, y'all can add it up. But let's look. To get in the door, these are your one-time costs. Application fee, $50 to $100, and especially in a big city. Security deposit, which is usually 1 month's rent. So there's $1,700 on top of your 1 month's rent, the other $1,700. Pet fee, anybody have pets? Your pet, I know, you need a duck. One of these is yours. Pet deposit. Now, if you have a goldfish or a gerbil or something, you're good. You don't have to pay that. But anything bigger, you're going to pay for it. And it might even be more. And usually they're non-refundable. Utility deposits. So a lot of apartments will include utilities. Luxury apartments usually don't, by the way. I guess because they know they can make some extra. You know, same with Wi-Fi. But especially in a new city, your name's never been on utilities there. They usually require a deposit to get it set up because that's also part of establishing your reputation. So you may have that. Daily life costs, of course, renter's insurance. Most apartments require it. I think you should have it even if they don't require it. $15 to $30 a month. Internet setup. If they don't give you Wi-Fi, which a lot of luxury apartments, some do, some don't. Also, parking. That's usually way more than $25 to $75 if you want parking in a luxury apartment. And usually it's in some sort of high-rise parking garage. But you'll have to pay for that. You may have to pay for trash. And, of course, your gas. Driving from, it depends on the distance from your cool downtown loft to your actual job. So I put in 200 as just a little rough estimate. And then you've got your work ready costs. I said mostly one time, but not really, because I'm going to keep buying clothes. It's not a one-time investment for me. So making sure you have those outfits that you need to wear, 300 plus. And then I put in a convenience tax, which isn't really a tax, but it kind of is. When you move into a new place, go ahead, think at least $100 to spend on takeout and everything for that week, because you're going to be tired. Or you may even have to buy your friends some food because they were nice enough to help you move in, whatever you have, okay? So this is just conservative, but how much did we end up with? What's our amount? Even if you went on the low end of all of that.
Roughly 45.
Yep. So just to move in, just to get the key, walk in that loft, $4,500. Now our little basic apartment is still going to be up there. It's probably going to be around 3,000. just to move in. Now, you won't be spending that every single month because that's a deposit and things like that, but that's what we save up for. That's why we have 3 to 6 months of emergency life expenses ready to go in case. So we can pay that and not have to stress over how am I going to eat the rest of the month. So Sandra here did not learn that. Sandra thought she did, but when I started my first job, I had enough money because I knew as a teacher my paycheck was going to, I'll be paid at the end of the month. So I had enough to cover all my expenses for that month and I was ready to go, right? I thought I was good to go. I had a little cushion. I had about $300-400 extra. I thought I'm sitting pretty until I didn't realize until paychecks came through that they weren't going to pay me until the end of the next month. So I didn't get paid for August. I got a bigger check at the end of September. I didn't know that. And I only had that $400. And I had to pay my rent, and I'd pay my car payment, and I had to eat. I had no money to eat. So very thankfully, I had a boyfriend who is now my husband of 30 years who brought me groceries, or I wouldn't have made it. So I got to say, it's really important that you have enough money and to expect it. And once again, this isn't to scare you. This is to help you see that having a money mindset versus a wealth mindset. Money mindset means you reacted to all this. That's what I did. I had to react to all this and panic spend and hope that I had enough money to eat and everything else. That's all reacting. Instead of knowing ahead of time, I should have had extra. I should have planned. Then I can be calm. I'm not going to panic. I'm in control. It's working for me. I'm not working for it. So just kind of wrap it up. Some of those post-college pitfalls. Well, that's fun to say. Post-college pitfalls. Living beyond your means. Reacting instead of planning for financial events. Avoiding financial conversations, and that includes with you, with yourself. Got to be honest. And also, this one's a big one, comparing your lifestyle to peers. And it's one of the downfalls of your generation. We didn't have it as much because we didn't have Instagram. But Instagram is a pitfall for y'all because you see those perfect houses. You see those people your age with these beautiful loft apartments or whatever the case may be, and they're all clean and everything's in its place, and we do our Sunday refresh and everything matches, everything's great. But really and truly what you don't see, of course, is probably the other side of the room has all their boxes and trash and everything that they don't want you to see. But when we compare ourselves to each other, we're switching out of the wealth mindset. We're switching into the money mindset because we think we have to live up to that. We have to have that new car. We have to have that apartment that's perfectly furnished from the start. Really, all you need is something to sleep on, something to sit on, and something to eat, and you'll be fine for a while. Of course, you want all the others. But if you're planning and you're using that wealth mindset and you're making sure that you're not living beyond your means, then you'll be able to buy a really nice couch that will fit in that loft or in that apartment later. But for now, you just need something to sit on, something to sleep on. I know I had a hard time with that, but don't compare yourself to other people. Make sure you're taking care of yourself with that wealth mindset. That's always tops, the wealth mindset. And I'm done. Is there? I'm doing good. I'm doing good on time. Okay. So to close, I want you to think about this. You don't have to yell it out. But what's one thing that you can do in this next month, and I didn't put next week because that's spring break, but in the next month that can set you up and improve your financial future based on some of those that we talked about today? What are some things? Be thinking about that. Like I said, you don't have to actually tell me, but you need to set a goal and you need to get started. Any questions for anybody? Yeah, I was going to say, how can I see? Oh. We covered a lot of ground today. I hope I didn't talk too fast. Oh, I left option A. How would you recommend getting a credit card with no prior credit? PhD in finance, what's a good way?
Banks will have them. Some of your banks will have them. And so it's not difficult to get a credit card, even if you don't have credit. I mean,
That's
they'll
right.
give you a credit card, they'll just put a limit on it.
Yes.
In terms of maybe 300 or 500, but it's not very difficult to get one.
Yes. And on that note too, once you start building your credit, here's another warning, because credit card companies, like I said, they're banking on you to charge everything. When they see that you're doing well and you're paying it off, those limits, as Dr. Gallardo said, those limits start moving up because they're like, oh, okay, well, let's start raising that. We start with 300, but now guess what? You're up to 1,000. Woohoo! Right? You're up to 2,000. You'll start getting emails. We've got a loan for you.
Pre-approved.
Yes, you're pre-approved. You start getting mail. Oh, it's awful, all the mail that you get. But let's think it through with the wealth mindset. That's just telling you you're doing it right. Those are messages telling you you are doing it right. Don't take advantage, because you're not. I'll put it in quotation marks, take advantage of all the things that they like to raise, because they're just trying to draw you in. But it is a signal that you are doing it right, because they're going to keep raising it. So that was a great question. Who asked that question? Madison, do you know who it is?
Their
Ethan.
name? Just Ethan.
Ethan, well, I'm going to send a duck. Are you in Fort Worth? We'll see. We'll be looking. But you're going to get a duck, Ethan, for that. Okay. What are some ways to decrease or stabilize spending as income increases? So ways to decrease or stabilize is have that budget. That's the biggest way. And once you have that budget, you do it ahead of time. So once you know what your pay is going to be, you build that budget from there. Then you're okay. You lock in with that. And actually, the nice thing is you're going to have more money to play with, certainly, but that's going to go in savings. You're going to pretend it's not. You're going to take care of your needs. You're going to allot some money for your wants. You're still going to be putting money in savings. It's just going to be more. Oh, Capital One has a good student program. That's good.
I think Discover also has.
Discover does too. And just FYI, Discover was the one that got me.
Me too.
It got me. As a matter of fact, it was probably one of these classes on a bulletin board that I saw that I was pre-approved for $1,000. It was one of these or in the education building. So best way to start a budget is it tracking expenses first. I like to start with how much I have, and then do the 50, 30, 20 before I even look at what I'm spending it on, just to see what I need to aim for. And then I start filling in what I have and what I'm spending it on. And so it kind of merges into one, because I'll be tracking as well. The tracking is really just to help you become aware. It's actually a psychological technique. It's like why they have you track your weight. If you get one of those weight apps, or you get a workout app, you get a water intake app, any of those kind of things, have you track and enter in what you are drinking or what you're eating, because psychologically it makes you more aware of what's going on, and it makes you think before you do it. So that's what tracking your expenses also does. It makes you think like, oh, wait a minute. I'm about to buy another Starbucks drink. Poor Starbucks. Really, I should get paid for advertising, but it helps you keep track. And so it's a psychological thing. But I like to start with what I have, figure out if I'm anywhere close to the 50, 30, 20, and then start moving towards that number once I see what my expenses are and what my needs are. These are great questions. And Ruth was the one. Ruth, where are you? We'll get you one too. So I'm going to get these two ducks out there. Ruth and Ethan. Oh, she's all online. Okay, we got to figure that out, Ruth. I may get you to message me in a little bit so we can find out where you are. Okay? Yeah, what campus you're associated with or anything like that. So, all right. And I think our last slide is just our contact info. What's a good credit? Well, there's not many credit card interest rates that are good. That's why you want to pay it off at the end of every month? Gosh, I don't know, Juan, what do you think?
They're on
Okay, 16 to 25% on average annually. That's not the compound is what gets you. Yes, no annual fees. But if you're paying it off every year and no annual fee or every month, you're good. Oh, Stephenville, but online classes. Okay, Ruth, we'll figure out what to do with you to get you your duck. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nope. Especially because it's even better because you're paying it off every month. So it's really, it's just a game. It's a numbers game using that credit card to pay for your phone bill or your utilities because you already know. It's already in you're gonna be paying that off at the end of the month anyway. You were already gonna pay that money. So it's better than, and you wanna try to avoid getting a credit card to buy furniture or say, because then you're gonna get stuck in the trap where you only pay the minimum or it's much better to find ways to not get a credit card for that kind of thing. This is just the wealth mindset, gold standard. Here's what I'm using. I'm making it work for me. All right?
I wanted to.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Right. Oh, yeah. That's right. And eventually, yes, you are going to have to buy things on credit, which is different than credit card. But we want to try to save up for those big things so we don't end up paying so much more. But like you're going to buy a house, you're probably going to have to get that finance, right? Most of us, unless we win the lottery, and then I'm buying I'm going to go to the money mindset, not the wealth. No, I'm teasing. But so you will eventually. But this is to get you going and get that credit reputation as high as you can from the beginning. Oh, look, I just mentioned that. Tips for savings for bigger purchases for houses and cars. Well, that's what your savings is for. You've got your emergency amount, but as you start building it, just like with that apartment, the $6,000 that year, that's a big chunk that and especially if you start now while you're in school, that starts adding up and you don't use it. You don't spend it on a vacation. If you want a vacation, you start a separate vacation fund and you can keep that going up. But your 20% that's going out of your check and some of that might go towards your vacation, but you want to keep that towards your savings so you can build up for a house. Because houses, especially the down payments, they can be a lot. But as you go and your income increases because you're going to keep making more money, it just grows along with you if you're using the wealth mindset.
You were talking about Rocket Money earlier, that's what we use for all of our stuff, and they actually have something on there recently that's like, are you saving for a car, are you saving for a house, and it automatically will take your expenses for the week and see how much you could afford, and it just takes it out automatically. So I've saved like, how much money, but it's just been taking it out, I haven't seen it. So
That's
it's
nice.
a nice way to have that as well. I didn't know that feature when I first joined Rocket Money.
That's a great suggestion too. And when you don't see it and you don't feel it, it sure is nice. So when in the future you look at it and you go, oh, wow, that's there and it didn't even hurt. I didn't miss it. So that's always good. That's great. Yeah, those budgeting apps are great. All right, I think it's had everything. And then if we can put the contact info if y'all ever want to, I'll let you do it. 'Cause I don't know.
She said, Madison said that she thinks that we missed one question.
Oh, one question. What are some ways to decrease or stabilize spending? Did I answer? I thought I answered that one. Oh, decrease or stabilize spending as income increases, which would be using that budget and sticking to it. Unless I think of anything else. Okay. Okay, post-assessment, if you will. Tell us how we did so we can make it better. And we've got our connections, our TexanSmart. We've got at TexanSmart on Instagram. Check out some of our reels. We've been having fun with those. You can always email us. We are a service for all Tarleton students and graduates too. So even if you graduate and you're like, man, I need some help making this budget, I still don't know what I'm doing, come see us, give us a call, email us, whatever the case may be. We're here for you. Thank y'all. This was fun. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Like being a teacher again. It's fun. Oh, did you get the? Okay, thank you. Anybody want a coffee cup for your Starbucks coffee? That you're never going to buy again? You're going to have to make your own coffee? Would y'all like the little stress ball? Teresa wants one. Look, we have 3. Okay. Well, I'm not going to throw it because obviously I'm not good at it.